She said, I can see her, but I see her,
There's still a couple of seats up here towards the front if anybody wants to sit down.
Filled with moments. Moments we share with those we love, worry about, and strive to protect the most. At Woodman Life, we provide insurance and retirement products to help protect you and your family so that you can enjoy all the moments to come.
Still share your comments, and they'll be heard, they'll be broadcast here, so if you feel like you'd rather go up there, go right ahead. For everybody in the audience, we'd like to keep this at about the same time we had in our commissioner meeting the other day. We're going to try and keep this public comment session to about 2 hours tonight. We want to give everybody a chance to express their feelings and opinions about this subject matter tonight. We would like for you to think about, before you come up and speak at the microphone, if you're going to reiterate points that are already made or regurgitate something that's already been commented on and listened to, you might think about that. We will allow each speaker 3 minutes, and we're going to hold true to that. So if you plan to speak to us tonight, try and do your very best to keep that to a 3-minute maximum. Thank you. Okay, we're close enough to 6:30 for me. This is the Board of Montezuma County Commissioners. We're reconvening. We tabled a public comment session at our Tuesday regular meeting. I'd like to reopen this meeting tonight in the same venue that we left it as. This is a public comment session, and it's regarding the House Bill 1177, which is the EROP red flag bill that's being still in process. It's not been signed into law or anything of that nature yet. But the county, as the leaders of the county, we're trying to decide if we want to take a stand and send it to our state government on how this county feels about this type of legislation. So we're going to reopen the meeting at 6:30 p.m. February 28th, 2019. Yes, and hopefully at the back we had laid out three draft versions of what we're contemplating taking a position on. We want to hear the public's comments and their ideas and beliefs about this, and that I'm sure will weigh into our decision making. We also, our county clerk has a file of recorded letters and correspondences that have been sent to the county government by various citizens of the county. And she will make those part of the public record. They will be part of the record of this proceeding. Would you like to do that?
Sure. Yeah. Do you want us to read?
Yeah. Our attorney, Mr. Baxter, will now present each one of our three drafts to everybody here tonight, so you have a feel for what we're contemplating. And John, please go ahead.
So, generally speaking, you had a chance to glance at them. Really, they
Can't hear you. Can't hear you, John.
generally speaking, the three drafts all stand for the proposition of don't violate constitutional rights. The first one, which is almost verbatim as the one that we discussed on Tuesday, doesn't use the word sanctuary. It's just really a position statement resolution that we would convey to the General Assembly, the Governor's Office in Denver, stating, please don't pass laws that we feel violate our constitutional rights. Commissioner Sukla, I think, wanted to add the word sanctuary to it. So the second one that we have for today declares that Montezuma County is a sanctuary county. The third one uses the word sanctuary more generally speaking, more broad, basically for constitutional rights as opposed to just your Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. What a resolution is, I think, because there probably is confusion about what this accomplishes. It's really just a position statement. I don't think people can necessarily consider it a promise or a guarantee of what might or might not happen in Montezuma County. It's what the elected officials here, the Board of County Commissioners, believe. These are not the people that execute search warrants or get ordered by a court, by a judge, to follow through with seizing people's guns if this extreme risk protection order is issued. So that's going to be either any law enforcement agency, whether it's the Cortez City Police or the Montezuma County Sheriff's Department, and the city is overseen by different elected officials. The county sheriff is an elected official who these people can't make do anything. So really what it is a position statement. If the Colorado legislature does pass this HB 191177, then presumably the judges are going to enforce it, and people will be able to petition the courts, like the statute says. Whether or not the law enforcement agencies petition the courts is up to the individual law enforcement agencies, because they too have the right to petition the court. But just to go over the three different ones, the first one, the opposition to infringement of the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. I don't know if I really should read all. Yeah, I think it'll waste time reading all the way through it. But it's presented up there. Any of you all does everybody have a copy? Have we run out of copies? Okay, so if everybody has a copy, I think we're okay. We're not going to read through each one verbatim. The second one was the one that actually states it's a sanctuary county for the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. The third one is more of a broad statement that says we're a sanctuary of constitutional rights.
Actually have received several emails and phone calls in the last couple days. I have read every one of those and have sat down and thought a lot about each and every one of them. So I'm here tonight to go ahead and finish seeing what the rest of you have to say.
Well, I would be interested if which resolution that you would be in favor, or if you're not in favor of any of them.
And possibly at the close of the public comment session, we may just ask for a show of hands. Might give us an indication of how the audience feels on any one of these three drafts, and give us an indication if there's a strong majority or not a majority on any of this. So, okay, we're going to now open this to public comment. If you'll please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and each person that comes to that will have 3 minutes to state their position or their sentiments in regard to this. Go.
You can line up right behind him, and then that way we won't waste any time. We'll just keep it flowing.
Yeah, and please go down the outside aisle if you would to line up.
I'm Dave Stormborger, 35235, Road K.1, over by Mesa Verde, Magus. I think that the premise of the whole thing is good, that you guys would vote be a sanctuary. I think using the word sanctuary is not a good deal. I think it goes completely to the other side of what people see. I mean, everything you see now, sanctuary, it's letting illegal aliens in, it's letting all kinds of illegal stuff happen. So I think using the word sanctuary is wrong, in my opinion. I do believe that a constitutional county is what we need. follow the laws of the United States. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
I'm Charles Thompson. I live at 2889 County Road W. And I favor mostly your third one, where it has kind of a broad application to the rights in the Constitution. It kind of announces where we stand as far as that document. I have a great belief in the Constitution and what made this country great as it is. And I think the prosperity that we have enjoyed in this county is partially a result of that. One thing, and maybe this is one of my main points since I'm involved in the BOCC and in the Sheriff's Department, I see this from a law enforcement side, is that we're putting our law enforcement people in a difficult situation. If the state establishes a law that seems to be a violation to the Constitution, which way do they go? Sheriff Nallen back there has to decide who do I follow? Do I follow the state law or do I follow the Constitution? And he's already sworn to protect and support the Constitution. So I see this as putting our law enforcement in a difficult situation that I just don't think we don't need to be doing that. Their job's hard enough as it is. So that's kind of my comment. I strongly support the resolutions that you have, and particularly the third one. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Busick, Road 26, Dolores. I do appreciate you guys doing this again. People speak. I do not say any of this with the intention of changing the commissioner's mind. It is clear the resolution will be approved, and it is quite clear to me which commissioners will not be swayed from calling Montezuma County a sanctuary for guns. I say this to make clear that to call Montezuma County a sanctuary for anything is setting a precedent. There is a Trumpian mentality that seems to have infiltrated our Board of Commissioners, whereas if people in leadership do not...
Please, audience, let the person speak without interruption, please. You'll have your chance.
Whereas if people in leadership do not agree with laws or processes, they invoke a kind of executive power, making decisions with or without the support of the law. It is a dangerous and short-sighted way to lead. Colorado used to be a red state. It is no longer. La Plata County used to be a red county. That too is no longer. It is not hard to see the possibility that in the future, Board of Commissioners in Montezuma County will have at least one, if not two Democrats. Commissioner Ertel told me the other day he doesn't always agree with the Supreme Court. Maybe these new commissioners won't either. Maybe these commissioners will be against something you believe in. I will just pick an example here, because the example doesn't matter as much as the idea of precedent. Let's say they decide that they disagree with fracking, that its chemicals and environmental damage is too harmful for our environment, and they think to go against the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission because they think their rules regarding fracking are too lenient. Maybe they will make Montezuma County an anti-fracking sanctuary, and they will look back at this Board of Commissioners making this decision, and they will know it can be done. That, my friends, is called setting a precedent. It must feel powerful and almighty when you are in control, but it would be foolish to think you will always be.
Hi, I don't talk very loud. My mind is right, my mouth doesn't work so well. I support,
Would you state your name for us, please?
yeah, Heather Mendenhall, 11814, Road 20, I'll do the best I can. I would like better as one of you to read to them so they understand what I am saying. Is that alright?
We have it displayed up on the top.
Okay. I'll move the next item. Councilmen and women, law officers, first responders, and all who are here tonight for this important meeting. Hello. I'll start by saying I strongly support all of you and the rule of law. But more and more I see our current laws are being redefined to fit some political agenda. And our Constitution is very simple and clearly defined document. It's constantly being redefined. This is unacceptable so much for due process. Why is it that currently it seems that the only people that don't have due process are the majority? Who is the majority? I am, and many of you are, and you. The majority is the tax-paying, law-abiding citizens. That's who the majority is. I can't talk much more, but please look at that, and I'm sorry I didn't move in the matter.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you can. I'm Wade Foster, 25314 County Road T, Valora. We gotta love Montezuma County. Tuesday morning and hopefully here today, we the people gathered here with what I know to be dearly held beliefs and strong opinions on the issues of gun control and gun violence. We've presented these beliefs and opinions in an orderly and respectful manner. This is democracy in action, and I applaud each and every one of us here today. Regarding the matter before us, I believe a resolution expressing opposition to the red flag legislation in the state legislature probably represents the majority of opinion in the county. If this is our opinion, we have the absolute right to express it to our duly elected state representatives. Do not believe that our county officials, though, have the legal or moral right to declare that we refuse to obey a state law based only on their or our personal opinions without judicial review. For we probably all agree that the sheriff has some discretion in how he enforces the laws. I believe that it would be plain wrong to ask or direct our duly elected county sheriff to not honor his oath of office and refuse to enforce state laws. It seems inevitable that these issues, the red flag law, and possibly even some of these resolutions that are coming up in some counties in Colorado, will eventually be challenged and resolved in the courts, regardless of what we do here today. I strongly oppose a resolution that states that Montezuma County states or implies that Montezuma County refuses to obey any law based only on our personal opinion of what rights we are granted by the U.S. Constitution without any, or at least very little, legal opinion from anyone actually versed in constitutional or case law.
My name is Greg Kemp, Road 35, Mancus. I want to mention once again a quote from 1788. Before the Second Amendment was even written, there was concern about how to keep firearms from people for crimes committed for real danger of public injury. So we've been talking about this for 230 years and haven't got it figured out yet. The last section of the proposed state law, 1177, says the General Assembly hereby finds, determines, and declares that this act is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, and safety. So this is after the 2 court procedures that have to occur before an extreme risk order is presented. The Montezuma County regulations say, whereas this resolution is in the best interest of the health, safety, order, prosperity, and welfare of the citizens of Montezuma County. Well, we've got the state legislature saying that the law is in the best interest of the welfare of the citizens, and the county commissioners saying that not enforcing the law is in the best interest of the citizens. So I presume that means that the county commissioners are taking responsibility for any action that happens as a result of not following this, following this state law, assuming that it passes. Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Night Eagle, 35608 Road J. Pornate, Memphis. I find it somewhat alarming that we even have to have this meeting, meaning that the Constitution seems to be constantly thrown back and forth and back and forth and very often ignored. I, for one, believe in our founding documents wholeheartedly. I'm a federal park ranger at Mesa Verde National Park. When I'm not in the park, I'm allowed to speak my piece. When I'm in the park, I'm not allowed to because of the Hatch Act, so I'm taking advantage of this occasion to do so. Excuse me. As I stated, I firmly believe in every piece of the Constitution. I am in favor of making a statement. If that's all it is, I believe as county commissioners, you all need to make that statement to the state, how we feel, how the majority of us, pardon me, I can't speak for everyone, of us feel here in Montezuma County. I moved from the Front Range, Denver and Colorado Springs, 24 years ago over here because of what was happening in the big cities to the east of us. So I just want to voice my opinion that I'm 100% in favor of y'all choosing any one of those. I don't want to get into the minutia of discussing the word sanctuary. It is used so much nowadays. I think that word does make a statement in and of itself, saying a sanctuary, since it is used. But I wouldn't mind if it was taken out. But I certainly am in favor of y'all helping to defend my rights to the Constitution, all of them. I have to swear an oath, I brought a copy of it, every year in the park to uphold the Constitution, defend it, protect it, and I take it very seriously when I take that oath. So I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all.
How you guys doing? My name is William Taylor, live in Dolores. And I would like to say one thing, that these resolutions will really be a waste of time because this state is run by citizens of 80 Mile Corridor and the Front Range. But I appreciate your effort to at least maybe tell them where we stand. And I'd like to have a document here called the Constitution. And I'd like to refer y'all to Amendment 2, the right to bear arms. What's most important to me is Amendment 4, about unlawful seizures and searches without proper warrants. You know, I can read it verbatim if you want to, and I recommend anybody in this room, if you've never read it, you should read this document. Because we don't have a country without it. And you guys swore an oath to defend and protect the Constitution. Many years ago, I did the same thing. And I take it seriously. You may think it's a joke, but a lot of people have died for this. You know what I'm talking about too, don't you? Okay. But but everybody should read the Constitution. And I think these proposed laws are a direct violation of the Constitution. And personally, I won't, whatever law is, I'm not going to obey it anyhow. Period. And there's been a recent case in Maryland where a gentleman had a concealed carry permit, and somebody, obviously wasn't a friend, ratted him out to he's a danger to himself. So the police crashed through the door without any warning. He thinks they're criminals. He goes to defend himself and they kill him. And what this kind of laws are going to do, they're going to lead to police being killed and citizens. I guarantee it. Let's think about it. What are you going to do in the middle of the night if the police crash through your front door and don't identify themselves? What are you going to do? You're going to defend yourself, I hope. But I hope you guys take your oath of office seriously, not a joke. And that's all I got to say.
Amanda Winter, 17657, road 27.7 in Dolores, Colorado. And it's going to be really hard to follow that, but first I want to say that I really like the third one because I believe we should be a sanctuary of all constitutional rights. So with that, Arapahoe County, Aurora, Boulder, Denver County, Garfield County, Grand County, Jefferson County, Larimer County, Mesa County, Pitkin County, Pueblo County, Routt County, San Miguel County, Weld County. These are all labeled sanctuary counties and cities within Colorado. Unlike the proposed resolution, sanctuary cities for illegal immigrants break the law. Sanctuary cities block law enforcement from communicating with ICE, block ICE from interviewing jail inmates, and fail to notify ICE when illegal immigrants will be released, even if they're dangerous. On Tuesday, we heard a few people speak about how we are a land of laws, and by labeling Montezuma a gun sanctuary, we would be setting ourselves up to be lawbreakers. So I ask tonight, are we a land of laws, or are we a land of laws when it's convenient to the Democratic Party and their agenda? Tonight, we are here to talk about the word sanctuary. Tonight, we are here to talk about the word sanctuary. I bring up illegal immigrants and sanctuaries to make one distinction between Second Amendment sanctuaries or constitutional sanctuaries and the sanctuaries of illegal immigration. The Constitution does not have anywhere in the fine print that counties or cities have the right to break our immigration laws to house lawbreakers and criminals, yet they do. The word illegal speaks for itself. The Constitutional, however, does state a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Let's please keep our applause. Okay, let's let the people speak and keep our comments to ourselves for a while. Okay, please.
How long are rural areas going to allow big city legislators to create laws that do exactly what the Constitution was created to prevent? According to Denver Post, after a judge's petition to remove a personal firearm, the judge will then hold a hearing without the gun owner present and will decide whether to grant a temporary order to remove the firearms. So I ask, what is a hearing without a defendant? It is a guilty till otherwise decided innocent kind of hearing. This is not only confiscation, but is also a way to postpone due process so that anyone with a vindictive ex, disgruntled family member, or a targeted population such as veterans get a day in court that they are not welcome to attend. This resolution is only step one. Although I believe adding the word sanctuary is important to send a clear message, it does not create a safe haven. It is a stand, a protest, a common ground, but as mentioned on Tuesday, it does not prevent law enforcement.
Ms. Winter, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Stephen Foat, 11636 Road 28.3. Wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I just wanted to remind everybody in the room that when I was in high school, George Orwell's 1984 was required reading. And I remember the takeaway from that book is when you give up freedoms for safety, you end up with neither. And I just want everybody to remember that. Giving up a freedom does not guarantee safety. Thank you.
My name is Lee Sand. I live at 112 North 7th Street in Dolores. I'd like to make maybe 2 brief points. Sorry, I'm quite nervous speaking in front of people. So 2 brief points. I think that we're all here and can appreciate our Constitution. I guess I should start by saying that I'm opposed to the idea of designating our county as a sanctuary or proceeding with this resolution tonight. And I guess my main point is that it's maybe not up to us at this point in the game or in your role as our Board of Commissioners to determine what law is constitutional or not. I think we all had the opportunity to participate, or we have currently the opportunity to participate in our legislative process, including voting for those who have been voted into office in Colorado, whether you like it or not, and for our presidency, whether you like it or not. And that may include, that if we don't agree with this particular law, that this resolution is maybe being put in place against, that we address it to the people who can actually determine what is constitutional or not. And I should say too that I've sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution as a deputized coroner, and maybe I feel confident in that as well. And then I guess additionally, I would request that maybe the weightiness of this issue maybe just requires more time. I think it's been a quick turnaround with the proposition of this resolution to this point where I'm guessing you will likely vote on it or decide. And I think that while you maybe well could assume that the majority is in support of the passage of this resolution, I don't think it's fair to decide that implicitly by the show of who's here tonight. It's a very small fraction of the county, and again, maybe it is the majority of our county that supports it, but you can't know that, and I think it would be fair to request that maybe more time was given for that input to be received, and maybe even more questions to be answered and more clarity to be sought and achieved, because it is an important issue to a lot of people, and I think it's worth giving it maybe a little bit more time rather than imposing it prematurely. Thank you for your time.
I'd make one more point here. You 3 gentlemen were elected by the people of Montezuma County. Do your job. No, seriously, we elected these 3 gentlemen to represent us. So do it. You do what you think you need to do to represent us. We're the people that were concerned about this issue. You came here. This is what these are for. And these are the people that are concerned about it. So I think that, you take what you hear from everybody and you make a decision. But you were elected. The other people weren't. And we want to elect you again.
I'm Robert Smith, 20675 County Road 20. I'd just like to reiterate something we spoke about on Tuesday, how Commissioner Supla has already spoken once about how he's gone to Denver and he's seen some of the things that's coming down. This is not the only one in the works. There are many, at least 50, am I correct? That possibly,
there's going to be a bunch.
a bunch. So it's not just this time, but it's the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. It's not going to stop until the people stand up and take a stand.
Right.
And right now is a good time to take a stand. And I think, and we ought to thank our commissioners for taking that stand on our behalf and back them 100%. Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I sent a letter in previously, and it was a little more personal. Mary Ann Mate, 301 Abeta Drive, Dolores, Colorado. It was a little more personal about how gun violence has affected my family, and if this law would have been in effect, lives would have been saved, a lot of pain would have been saved. I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. I feel a little intimidated by this crowd because I know we're in the minority here that are speaking, not in support of this resolution. But I did want to read something. When you were sworn into office, you took an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Colorado. I'm sure each of you takes that oath very seriously, and I would expect that you would not violate that oath. If the Colorado legislature passes HB 19-1177 concerning creation of an extreme risk protection order, it is your duty and the duty of our sheriff to follow the law. It is your prerogative to pursue legal options to challenge the law. But I believe it is wrong for you to, one, prematurely challenge this law by creating a resolution to make Montezuma County a gun sanctuary. Now I know gun has been taken out of that language in these resolutions, but I think that's inferred. Two, I think this action ignores the risks financially, legally, and ethically that this action takes. I personally believe the documented evidence that emergency risk protection orders save lives and do not jeopardize the Second Amendment rights of citizens. I thank you for your service to the community. I also wanted to note that having been a public servant, I know it's really tempting to look out in the audience and see all these people who are supporting your resolution, and knowing that not all the people in this county that voted for you are here tonight. So I just kind of want to remind you that a straw vote is really not an effective way to gauge how people feel in this county. But thank you for your service.
Hi, my name is Debbie Boyd. I live at 20627 Road W at Lewis. And I want to thank you guys. It's been such a blessing to have county commissioners who take their oath of office serious and who do what they have been elected to do. And I would just like to say that guns don't kill people. People kill people. You can remove all the guns and that isn't going to change things. Just like you could remove all the cars and it isn't going to change anything. And to me, what I see is that your oath is to the Constitution, and if the state or anyone else makes a law that is unconstitutional, is it really a law? And our founders knew that when you take away people's rights to bear arms, governments get way out of control. So there is a reason why we have the Second Amendment. We got to remember that. And thank you guys so much. We've just taken for granted you guys representing us, and you've done a wonderful job. And thank you for standing for the Constitution.
Dexter Gill, 20601, 22 Lewis, Colorado. I too want to thank you guys for taking this time to address this whole issue. But the issue really is the law that was made. It's not against the red flag type of legislation. It's this particular legislation that acts, the way it's structured, violates both constitutions of the U.S. and the state of Colorado. In the U.S., Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Sixth Amendment are all violated, as well as the Colorado Constitution. It's the structure of the act, not the fact that it's a red flag. There's other ways of handling red flag things through the mental system, not through taking somebody's guns. In fact, the specific legislation identifies only guns. Doesn't identify any other means of violence. Only guns. So it raises the question. Then the other thing I want to mention is, as our representatives, you are our representatives at the county level. You are held responsible at the county level. At the state level, the legislators are not responsible. They can pass legislation such as this one, and they can go home and that's the end of it. You're not responsible for the outcome at all. If we say it's unconstitutional, our sheriff and our county board, you have to deal with an unconstitutional law. So I'm all for not specifying this being a gun sanctuary. Whether it's a sanctuary or not, leave that up to you guys. It needs to be a county and notification to the legislature, don't pass unconstitutional laws, because they're not responsible, you are. Our sheriff is. And we have to implement them. And they need to start looking at what is constitutional, what is not. We really have had for some time now, it isn't just this one, but this one here seems to be particularly bad, with bringing up the idea that they think they can pass a law and that somehow or another automatically amends the Constitution. It does not. And so they need to recognize that they are not in charge of changing the rules that we have agreed to operate by. They have to abide by the rules and structure any legislation they have under the rules, not making new ones. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Dexter. We have a question or a statement from our remote location. Jim, can you hear me?
There's a 1 second delay on that.
Okay, go right ahead.
Yeah, we're right here.
Go right ahead, Jim.
All right, go up. Hello. Hello.
Yes, could you state your name and address, please?
My name is William Connor, 13981. County Road 29, Dolores, Colorado. They need to mute the mic.
They need to mute their speakers in the other room.
Got it now? Okay, go ahead.
Is that better?
There we go.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, go right ahead.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Clearly.
Yes, we're good.
Okay. My name is William Connor, 13981, County Road 29, Dolores. And as a previous law enforcement officer for 20 years in this country, I've seen what the criminals do. And criminals are going to get guns, even if every law-abiding citizen in the country doesn't have one, and they're going to use them. So I am a firm believer in the Constitution and a firm believer in our right to protect ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, William. We'll bring it back here. Okay, on.
Ellen Foster, County Road 2, Dolores. I oppose any resolution designating Montezuma County as a gun sanctuary and prohibiting its employees from enforcing state laws. At the most basic level, this is a country of laws. Just imagine the chaos if everyone only followed the laws that they agreed to. I can sure think of a few that I don't like. Sheriff Nowlin has taken an oath to uphold the laws of the state of Colorado. All of them, not just the ones he likes. Using a resolution to make a political statement is one thing.
What would you like?
Claiming to be a gun
Good right here.
sanctuary and using it to
Just
direct the
not in
sheriff
front of the
and
camera,
county
thank you.
employees to break the law is quite another. People are concerned that House Bill 19-1177 for extreme risk protection orders will expose them to unwarranted accusations. Well, you can be accused of a lot of things. Law enforcement and the courts exist to settle those issues. Part of the reason House Bill 1177 came up is society's inability and unwillingness to protect innocent family members and bystanders from the violence created by people suffering from poor mental health. Red flag laws uphold the rights of law-abiding citizens who are not considered a danger to themselves and others. Now, this is a small community, and I'd wager that almost everyone in this room knows somebody who has committed suicide and wish there was something that they could have done to prevent that tragedy. Mental health problems also contribute to domestic abuse and child abuse. Sheriff Nowlin repeatedly complains to the county commissioners that there's a large backlog of inmates and defendants waiting for mental health care, but there's no local service available. So I'm making a formal request that the Montezuma County Commissioners devote more money, more staff, and more energy to providing additional mental health services. Yes.
Hello, my name is Janet Huff, and I live at 691 Wyoming Street, A103 in Cortez, Colorado. And I'm coming up here to speak to say that I'm opposing your guys' resolution. And I'm in support of House Bill 19-1177. And I believe that this bill can help prevent future gun violence and reduce firearm suicide rates in our county. Of the suicides in Montezuma County, 68.2% of them were attributed to firearms. And in Colorado, 1 out of every 2 suicides involves a firearm. There have been other states that have passed these types of bills that have seen great success in regards to the decrease in gun violence. In Connecticut, they saw a 14% reduction in firearm suicide rates. In Indiana, the state's firearm suicide rates decreased by 7.5%. I imagine that a small reduction in the statistics might not mean much to anyone here. However, when someone in your family or one of your friends becomes one of them due to gun violence, then it starts to hit home. I had a friend who took her own life with a firearm and left her 18-month-old son without a mother. We knew there was something going on, but she wouldn't return our calls. Then her dad came home and found her. The ripple effect of gun violence travels far. Those left behind are never the same and many times carry the grief around with them for the rest of their lives. I believe in the Second Amendment and the right for people to own guns. I don't wish for people to have their guns taken away. However, freedom has its limits, especially if someone is endangering their own life or someone else's with a firearm because they are either intent on causing harm or because they are not in their right mind. I was born and raised here and I love this community. I want us to be safer, and I believe that this bill is a step in the right directions. The commissioners, sheriffs, and others in attendance have the opportunity to make a positive impact or a negative impact in the lives of those in our community. Thank you.
My name's Kelly Ellis. I live at 27337 Road M in Dolores. I'm going to ask all 3 of our county commissioners to send a message to the front range politicians in Denver that we don't like this. I'm going to ask you to include the word sanctuary in this resolution and send it to Denver. Thank you.
My name is Earl Charles Moore. I reside at 11724 Road 28.1, Dolores, Colorado. Up front, I want
you to know that any of your 3 resolutions is fine with me. I am not offended by the word sanctuary, and I'd like to remind you of the old fable, if you choose to keep the camel out of your tent, take a stand when you see his nose. Thank
I'm Lisa Henry. I live at 18220 Road 26, Aurora. I'm a retired licensed professional counselor and an advocate for children and families. I come here not to take away your gun rights, but to ask you to slow the process down for the purchase of guns in any venue and allow gun owners to be responsible and mentally healthy. My partner Brian Shane shot himself 3 years ago. If Bill HB had been in place, perhaps he would have been one of the 10 people who benefited from this law. My major concern is our mental health agencies not meeting the needs of our community. I agree with Will Force's statement about raising legislation and funding our best practices mental health services. Would serve us better, and personally, for me, what you're trying to bring through is nothing more than trying to block is a restraining order for somebody with mental health disabilities and a family who struggles a lot. If this law had been in place and Brian complied, knowing about his suicidal ideation, I might have worked with the law, mental health agencies to buy a little more time to find hope, support, and services. After all, the best prevention is asking, are you feeling suicidal or homicidal for prevention? As a lady on the suicidal hotline said to me, each time a person comes in for help, that increases the person's chance for survival. In closing, I ask that we be responsive and not reactive in finding solutions that benefit all people regarding sensible gun control. Thank you.
Stephen Candelaria, 13310 Road 27.6, Dolores, Colorado. Didn't think that I was going to speak tonight, but upon further consideration and hearing what others had to say, some other things in my mind have come up that we need to think about. I am personally in support of the first resolution that is put forth, and here's why. Because of the United States Constitution, the entire United States should be a sanctuary for the right to keep and bear arms, because that is the document that governs the entire nation. And the fact that we have to feel the need to put the term sanctuary on the rights that we should have on a day-to-day basis, whether I'm in the state of Colorado or whether I'm on the East Coast or the West Coast, I don't believe that that's necessary. And the fact that we're in this position, I believe, gives a greater concern of the nature of the country and of the state. Going further into this current House bill, what is extreme risk? I understand that the bill probably sets forth some sort of literature stating what extreme risk is, but to me that seems rather subjective. It's not objective, it's not black and white, and as mentioned previously, anybody could consider really anybody else a risk or at an extreme risk. And when we're talking about rights, I think that everybody is concerned about being stripped of their right to keep and bear arms. Well, with that being said, we're not only stripping the rights of the citizen who may have guns, but if this is a mental health issue, we're also stripping the rights of the person who may or may not be mentally ill. That's a subjective matter. With that being said, if you go in and you're taking these rights, somebody had mentioned previously about setting precedents tonight in your resolution. Well, think about the precedents that will be set by this House bill if we say we believe that somebody is an extreme risk due to their mental health, and we go in and strip their rights regardless of what that right may be. In this case, it's guns. But if we set the precedents to strip their rights, although they may be mentally ill, those persons still have the same rights as anybody else in this country. And I think that that needs to be considered when we're discussing any facet, whether it be guns, mental health. Every single person in this country has rights. And if you're going to strip rights, regardless of what those rights may be, that sets precedence greater than anything else. And that needs to be considered in your resolution. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Gail Alexander. I live at 20620 Highway 491 in Lewis, Colorado. And those of you that know me know I love my guns. As a woman that manages over 41,000 acres in both Montezuma and Dolores counties, that normally does a lot of stuff all by herself, I got to take care of me and those of you that run around with me. When I got my permit, I knew someday I'm going to take care of somebody else besides myself. I don't want that right taken away. Just because somebody thinks I might be a little wild and crazy and come to the county courts and says, hey, we need to get rid of this. You gentlemen, I trust you. You've taken care of me and my families and my friends on other issues this county has had to face in the last several years. So I trust you to take care of what we need done and do it right. Now, I want to share something when it comes to suicide. And those of you that work with suicide people, a lot of you don't know this. When I got a divorce, I contemplated suicide 5 times. What kept me from it was my friends. And if I need to remind people, 911, those people that committed suicides did it with a box cutter and an airplane, not a gun. I have guns all over everywhere. I carry them on me, in my vehicles, in my house. If I was going to do something, I would have killed myself in a different manner. I wouldn't have done it with my gun. Guns don't cause those problems like some people think. I understand it might be the easiest way to commit it. And I would like to hear some more information on that. But I'll tell you what, when I was contemplating it, all 5 times, it wasn't with a gun. Thank you, gentlemen, for what you're doing for us. I appreciate it.
Hold on just a moment. Before we have repeaters come up, I want to make sure if there's somebody in the audience that hasn't spoken, before we have 2 timers and 3 timers, I want to give everybody here an opportunity to speak. So could you please, if you're coming up for the second time, could you wait for us, please? Okay, thank you.
My name is Justin Brems. I live at 24732 Road P in Dolores. And I'm terrified to speak up front, so I apologize if this doesn't come out quite right. I'm going to read kind of a quote here from the Declaration of Independence because it seems fitting at this point. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which connected them with another and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station which the laws of nature and the nature's God entitled them. But decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to that separation. I'm not saying we should be separate, but that was the premise for this next portion. If we then determine one of the reasons that we declared independence was because a king was depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury. In this proposition, in this bill would deprive somebody of their due process. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be aware of people who may be a threat to themselves, but they should have the right to defend themselves. At any time, that right should never be removed. That being said, if we then determine by interpretation of the Constitution in plain language, as it was written, not by a legal interpretation, that the law enacted is in direct violation of the civil liberties of our citizens, it is then their right and their duty to throw off such a law and government. I do not imply that refusing to enforce or abide by a law is a matter that should be taken lightly. It should not. However, history has shown that when a right is taken away from an individual or a group, it is never given back. In pursuit to feel safety, we surrender our rights to be free, and that is not right. So, do I say that we should refuse to abide by a law? If it is in direct violation of our rights, I think it's our duty to refuse that law.
Hi, I'm Lou Ann Meyer, 6440 Road 25, Cortez. I am a gun-loving Second Amendment supporter, as well as the Constitution. My worry is working for lawyers for 40 years. This law, if it passes, is scary. People are going to take advantage. It's not going to take them long to figure out how they can just be vindictive on somebody, and that's scary. And I think anything we can do to fight this, I am fully supportive of everything you do.
Anybody that hasn't spoken once, come right ahead.
I spoke the other day.
Oh, you are a repeater, aren't you? Sorry, we have a repeater. It's a morning and an evening session here.
I'm really nervous, and it's hard because I'm part of the minority here that can't be silent.
What's your name again, Dan?
My name is Carolyn Landis.
You can pull it down.
Pull it
You don't have
down.
to
You know what
try
I
and
did that the other
tiptoe.
day, and the whole thing came off, and it had feedback and all that.
That's perfect.
Is that working, Kim? Okay, all right. Good evening, again.
Gotta be a little closer.
No.
There you go.
I think that I'm bad with computers too. If I walk through the room, sometimes they break. I'm going a little bit off script. I have a prepared statement that's pretty short. I'll try to keep it to 2 minutes. But there's some things that have been coming to my mind as I getting to know some of the faces here. It's the second gun rally I've been to this week. New experience for me. And a couple of things. I just wanted to make sure that you folks know that the extreme risk protection order that's going through our state legislature right now has originated with the support of law enforcement. It was helped. This draft was helped by law enforcement officers who lost co-workers in terrible violence, gun violence. So I think the premise that it's a lot of people that are trying to take away your rights is really, I want to do something about that in this community, because I think it's really a misconception. The other thing is the kind of comparison or the analogy with cars. You know, guns don't kill people, people kill people. Cars don't people. But do any of you remember, I bet a bunch of you do, remember when our drunk driving laws really weren't doing the trick, and we were losing a lot of people, innocent people, to drunk driving. Now that still happens, and I know we won't stop it completely everywhere. Same thing with gun safety laws. We are still going to have trouble unless we work more together on common sense solutions. And with that, I'll try to finish in 3 minutes. I support the right of every American to be free from gun violence. To be more specific, for this occasion where we're together tonight, I support the right of every resident of Montezuma County, Colorado, USA, to be free from gun violence. Please note that I am not saying I want to free you from your guns, because Lori knows that is not us in Montezuma County. Lots and lots of responsible, conscientious, legal gun owners.
I support the goal of advancing gun safety through the many avenues that are available to us. These include, but are not limited to, education, training, professional, effective, and compassionate mental health care, good neighboring, thoughtful legislation, hopefully with multi-partisan support, and common sense, free from fear. I support the goal of advancing gun safety while respecting the Second Amendment. And I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone in refusing to believe that this can't happen. I really think it can happen, and nobody's going to take away your responsible guns. In my humble opinion, your constituency, I got a little mad at guns the other day. Okay, I'll just give you the letter.
That sounds good.
Thank you for your time and for the opportunity to comment. I would really like to see us go the legislative path on this. I don't support any of the resolutions as they stand.
Thank you.
Lana Waters, 16415, County Road 21.4, Cortez. I did not intend to speak, but drunk driving gets brought up, I have to speak. Drunk driving took 3 lives from me. It is illegal. It is illegal to drink and drive, and yet it still happens. And with this, we've all been touched by tragedy. We've all had someone in our life take their own life. This bill that they're proposing is not, if someone has that in their heart, in their mind, they're going to find a way to do it. I just want to thank you. I support each and every one of you. I do believe that with a journey, every journey has a first step. I think that this bill that is being proposed at the state level is a first step. If we don't oppose it now, where will it go? And as far as the word sanctuary goes, I'm not sure, but sanctuary to me means a safe haven. And that's what I want Montezuma County to be, a safe haven. Thank you.
My name's Fred Berg, 17974 Road G. I'm a Western boy. My family immigrated to the West in 1847 in the second wagon train. I've never missed a deer hunt since I was 2 years old. I got a whole closet full of guns. And I'm a sportsman extraordinaire. I hunt small game, I hunt upland game, I hunt big game. And I'm not afraid of losing my guns. I'm not afraid of losing my sporting guns. I'm a firm supporter of the Constitution. But what I'm here to tell you is that I don't think we have to take anything away from our law enforcement folks to be able to do their jobs. And if we do something in this county that would pit our law enforcement officers, our sheriff or our city policemen up against the state highway patrol, because the state is trying to bring some laws together that they've been constitutionally told that they have to do, that would be a mistake. And I don't think we should do that.
Hi, I'm an about this. My heart goes out to anyone who has lost someone due to suicide or murder or whatnot. But we are not here for murder. We're not here for suicide. This isn't even about bombs. This is about law-abiding citizens losing their right to due process. Yes.
I'm a repeat offender. But when I last spoke, I neglected the two items I would like to say about it. I'm a history buff. In the Soviet Union, and the Nazis had this thing called a door knock in the night, where law enforcement would kick in the door, neighbors would denounce neighbors. This kind of smacks exactly that. Like who the hell is going to denounce who? And without any warning, knocking the door down. So like I said before, in Maryland, they got a gentleman killed by the police. The other thing is I'm a veteran and there are other veterans in this room, and most people here don't realize that the 1990s, under Mr. Bill Clinton, VA arbitrarily removed the right for at least 300,000 veterans to even purchase a firearm. I don't think you people even know that. And this kind of legislation smacks of that. It was done with no legislation. It was done by bureaucrats. And could happen again. And the veteran has no recourse. And it's still taking place to this day. The people who defended this country, they take away their basic rights. It's done by our own government. And I'd like to have people in the room be aware of that. There's been at least 300,000. The VA and the FBI, between the two of them, they decide, well, it's mentally unsound. And this is one reason I always tell veterans not to bother with the VA if you have a mental problem. Because this will find what can happen. You lose your rights arbitrarily, no recourse. You have no recourse to court at all. This could happen with this legislation. And with that, I'm done.
I felt it was worth reiterating about my point.
You want to introduce yourself again?
My name is Lee Sand. I live 112 North 7th in Dolores. And I felt that the point was worth being reiterated, that we're really not here to decide whether we like or support the law that's being put through the Colorado legislature. I think we have the opportunity, if we don't like it, to contact our representatives in our state to express those opinions. And I think, again, I would like to reiterate that I think the resolution, as it is, is maybe just causing more problems than it's actually going to solve, and causing more confusion. And at the very least, I think, even given the fact that there's 3 drafts and none of us here were even able to view them until we arrived, speaks for itself that it warrants more time to really contemplate what message we are trying to send, and even the fact that the legislative process takes time, and that we all have a role to play in voicing our beliefs and opinions to our representatives at the state or the county, and which we're doing now at the state level and at the national level. But that I don't think it's timely yet that you or we impose this decision and this interpretation of the Constitution on our county yet at this point. Thank you.
Kennedy McAfee, 22277 County Road 20. And I'll make my remarks very brief. I'm against all of the resolutions. I wanted to say first, Keenan, I think when you started the meeting, it would have been helpful had you explained to people what the resolutions are and what the proposed law is, because I think there is some confusion. Since you didn't do that, I want to agree with Lee, who spoke just now. I'm against all three resolutions. I'm not sure that we need more time. I do think it's utterly irresponsible for you to pass any resolution that is such that puts our sheriff in of having to go against the Colorado Constitution. I think that's an irresponsible thing for you as county commissioners to do.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Good evening, Eddie Mack, Taylor, Highway 160, Memphis. I'd like to reiterate just for her comment right there. Let's not forget that the state of Colorado in our Constitution is a common law state, bottom line. With that being a common law state and our Constitution, my family and I support this resolution 150%. This is not about our guns. This is about our freedoms, and they're slowly being eroded day by day by day. These bills that you're talking about that are coming out of the state right now, erosion one little bit at a time. Let's not forget we are a common law state. Thank you.
Amanda Winter. I was not even going to try to be a repeater and read the last page of my speech, but I did want to just bring up, because I keep hearing over and over, we're going around legislation, we're doing this, you're forcing the sheriff to not uphold the laws. It was said that, Keenan, that you didn't give a good, or Commissioner Ertel, that you didn't give a good enough explanation. I feel that the lawyer did a pretty good job of that. And I feel like the lawyer also said that this is a statement. This is us as Montezuma being heard, because just like what was brought up on Tuesday, they're already taking our vote away. So this is our way of being heard. This does not mean, none of the resolutions I'm reading does it say Sheriff Nolan will not come if he is given a court order. He said that on Tuesday as well, that a court order, and that was part of on my second page of my speech, that this doesn't make it where this is our voice. This is us saying that we don't agree with what Denver, Boulder, the Front Range is saying. So I think people keep talking about misconceptions. I'm hearing a lot of misconceptions about how this is putting people in danger or this is going around legislation. It's complete opposite. It's us sending our voice to the Front Range and saying that we will keep our liberty, and we can make ourselves safe. And this is how we believe that we believe this is a right for us to be able to do, and this is our voice. It's not necessarily saying, there's never a place in there that says that Sheriff Nolan will not be able to do his job. So I'm confused where people are getting that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Jim. We have another.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sherry Larson. I live on Road 29.1 in Cortez, and I drive a school bus here. Sorry, I'm very nervous. I've had my right to drive taken away. It took me months to fight to get my right back. I had someone tell the state of California that I was not mentally stable to drive a school bus or a car just because that person didn't like me. This was a person that barely knew me, but decided she really didn't like me. It was a defamation of character by someone that didn't know me, and the exact same thing could happen with this law. They could have their right to have a gun and take it away just because someone didn't like them. So I am for sending this to Denver, whichever one you decide. And thank you. Sorry, I was really nervous.
name is Ken Vance, 504 Dolores, Colorado. 1, if by land, 2, if by sea, 3, if by tyrants within. They came for the Polish, I wasn't Polish. They came for the Jews, I wasn't Jewish. Then they came for me, because there was no one left. I'm sure you guys have heard this before. Okay? You either stand for something or you fall for anything. Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants. It is the creed of slaves. William Pitt, November 18th, 1783. Justice Scalia wrote for the majority in a 1997 decision that said the states are not subject to federal direction, and that the U.S. Congress only had discrete and enumerated powers, and that the federal impetus was rendered express by the 10th Amendment. He confirmed that the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer, Cleo, of the county, and also proclaimed that the states retained an inviolable sovereignty. Scala went even further in this landmark decision, one in which 2 small-town sheriffs headed off the feds off at the pass and sent them on their way. Scalia, in his infinite obligation to the Constitution, took this entire ruling to the 10th power when he said, the Constitution protects us from our own best interests, so that we may resist the temptation to concentrate power in one location as an expedient solution to the crisis of the day. Obviously, the sheriff is the people's last line of defense against government gone rogue.
That's right.
America will never be dismantled from within, from the outside. If we falter or lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroy ourselves from within. Abraham Lincoln. The county sheriff is the last line of defense when it comes to upholding and defending the Constitution. The sheriff's duties and obligations go far beyond writing tickets, arresting criminals, and operating jails. The sheriff also has an obligation to protect the constitutional rights of the citizen in our counties. This includes the right to free speech, the right to assemble, which we're doing today. This is awesome. This is awesome, guys. We're exercising our freedoms right here.
That's right.
Okay? And the right to keep and bear arms. Remember the oath. And I have one last thing that I want to share with you, because this is near and dear to my heart.
Make it quick.
Yes, sir. Sorry. Welder by trade, but in the past I've helped teach civilians, law enforcement, military, special operations, Navy SEALs, and this is near and dear to my heart because my boss was shot by a guy that had some mental issues. Okay, his name was Chris Kyle. Okay. You know who it is. Here's my last paycheck. My last paycheck that I got from Chris. Okay? And if Chris was here today, he would tell you, no. We stand for freedom. We fight for freedom. And that's why he and other people that I know have been overseas doing what they do, making sure that those people don't make it across our border and violate us here. And if they do decide to come here, we're the last line of defense, guys. Are we all going to stand behind the sheriff and the deputies with only a couple liberty teeth? Or do we protect ourselves against enemies, foreign and domestic? That's all I have. Thank you.
My name is Dwayne Calhoun. I'm a repeat offender too from the other day. I was illegally parked, so I had to get out of here. I think I'm fine now, so. I'm a vet. I see a lot of hats here that we have a lot of veterans here. Some pretty high up bureaucracy people made a comment once that every vet is mentally not able to, shouldn't own guns. I'm mentally stable. I know a lot of them. They're all good people. They fought for this country. Some have died for this country. I'm in full support of this resolution. I am in full support of the word sanctuary in this resolution. I would also like to say, I've heard people comment that we're taking it too quick. And I heard a comment earlier, 230 years, what is it? 230 years? I think it's time now. We fought for it long enough. Let's do it, get it done. Approve it now. One other thing, the neighbors to the south of us, a heavy Democrat state of New Mexico. 16 counties have signed sanctuary of the same type.
22.
So today I read that Rio Arriba County in New Mexico, which is a very, very strong Democratic county there, has also went on board with this. People know it's wrong. So do what you think's right. Listen to us.
My name is John Buck. I live at 12823 County Road 27.3. I don't know about everybody else here, and I don't know about the gentleman and the lady that's at the desk here, but nobody ever walked up to me and told me I was sane. And now they're going to walk up to me and tell me that I'm insane. I don't know of any doctors in here that are going to do that. So, I mean, that's what this is all about. They're saying that this is a mental issue. So if we're all in here together and somebody doesn't like somebody else, they say, yeah, this guy's insane, then he gets his gun taken away, or she does, which is fine. I can see that if this is, but who's got the onus to say whether they're insane or not? The person that's insane, according to the law. Well, sure, he's going to stand up or she's going to stand up and say I'm sane. So it doesn't make any sense. This thing is obviously a gun grab issue, and it's just like the same thing with the gun magazine law, that you can't have more than 10 rounds of ammunition. You ever know anybody that committed suicide that shot themselves 10 times? I'm for either one of the issues. I think we ought to take it. If we don't do it, sooner or later, they're going to take it from us. And I just think that I don't know anybody in here that's sane. Have you? Nobody's ever walked up to me and told me I was sane, and have you? So how are we going to stand up against that when that's what they're telling us? They're saying, well, we can't get it any other way, so we're just going to tell everybody they're insane. Not everybody, but they're, and I'm not for people shooting other people either. I've been owned guns all my life, just like the gentleman before me. Hunted in Montezuma County and hunted in Colorado and hunted all over the western United States, and I've never shot anybody. And I got a gun permit. I worked for the federal government. Probably had 50 background checks for every time I went on a hazardous waste site or anything like that. You have to go through all those checks. Nobody ever walked up and told me I was insane. But am I saying that I've never decided that I'd really take this guy out over there for messing with my water? Yeah, I have. And I don't know anybody sitting here today that hasn't. So it's a mental health issue that the state of Colorado should deal with the mental health issue. The issue about whether it's you take an oath to uphold the law. Well, Governor Hickenlooper took an oath. Governor Hickenlooper took an oath to uphold the law. He let a man sit in prison, and we're still paying for him today. The law said he will be put to death. The state legislature hired and kept the people the judges in that came to the conclusion that the man needed to be put to death. But he said, no, we're not going to do it on my watch. That's not upholding the law, and he didn't do it. So, thank you.
Charles Thompson, 2889 County Road W. And I know this is my second time, and I'm one of those that sit in the back of the church hoping the preacher will sit down and shut up. But I just wanted to make a comment, and it's kind of been alluded to here, that nobody wants to see anybody shot. I think everybody in here is opposed to gun violence. Anybody not? And so I think, and I agree with the comment from the young lady who said we need to work together to do this, and I think we can do that. I think we can have that conversation. But, yeah, it's kind of a but we can't be launching out and attacking something that has no effect one way or the other. We have lots of gun laws on the books. It's illegal to kill somebody, murder somebody. It's illegal to do lots of things. And so these laws are already on the books. What we need to attack is the real cause of gun violence. And what is that? Is it in the family? This is a discussion and cooperation that we all need to have so that we can work together. We are stronger together than we are apart. I think this law that the legislature is proposing is wrong. I don't think it will do what we want it to do. And when I mentioned before I didn't want to put our sheriff in a bad situation, I see that from the law being in a bad situation, not our county commissioners supporting our sheriff. And I appreciate that effort by you folks. So yes, let's work together to get this done and eliminate violence. Let's find out the real cause of it and what is really happening, and not the peripherals on the outside. Thanks.
I see we don't have anybody else in line, and I do see our sheriff has been brought up a lot this evening. Sheriff Nowlin, would you like to come up and address the audience tonight? Do you need more than 3 minutes?
Say what?
Do you need more than 3 minutes?
Probably, but no. I'll say it. You know, I love listening to everybody, and even you guys. Okay. But no, seriously, the people in this county, I've received numerous emails and phone calls on both sides of this House bill issue. Some about the resolutions that are coming up. And I'll tell you, there's good points in every one of them. And I think everybody is reaching for the same thing. And that's where I totally agree with every single one of them, because they have that deep feeling about our constitutions and our laws, and they want not to have their rights taken away. And I think you all know that I'm right there with you, and I'll be in the front of the line, okay? And like I have told others before, nobody's coming to get your guns, okay? If you commit a crime with a gun, well, what do you expect? There's consequences for violation. But the thing is that we're talking about two different issues here tonight. The House bills that are already on the table and going through committees. We're talking about future ones that could come up that we don't know about yet. But there are two separate issues from that and the resolutions that you have here, which is the statement that you want to make for everybody. And I agree with that.
As far as the first resolution of opposition to the infringement upon the constitutional right to keep and bear arms, I agree with that. And I think most everybody here does. Most everybody in our county does. And I'm for that. I am. Even the third one that talks about, and I'm against the word sanctuary, because it's a safe haven. And I'm sorry. But the sanction for our Constitution, both the United States and Colorado, I think we all, every single one of you, are for that. And I know that. Because that's what gives us our freedoms, and that's why I'm here to serve and protect those freedoms for everybody. And yeah, I know about gun violence and what the amount of suicides that we've had, that I've dealt with in my career of 42 years. The thing is that this House Bill 1177, like I said in the beginning, is taking a civil matter that turns it into a criminal matter. That's the way I feel. I see it because it also violates so many of our articles and our amendments of our Constitution. It does. And it puts us in a bad spot, right? And I know that. And I tell you, I don't know if any of you remember George Brockner, who's the district attorney in the 18th Judicial District in Colorado. He ran for Attorney General this last election. But I'll tell you, I saw a statement that he made about this House Bill 1177, which is right on. He said, this bill, as it is right now, the way that it is written, is just too far left of a right idea. And he's right. It is. And I think we can all agree with that. So whatever message you want to send, you'll send. And you'll do. We know that it's not going to have an effect on me on protecting you and all of you and everyone here. Both your constitutional rights, but also the enforcement of the law equally, fairly, professionally, respectfully. Okay? And that's the truth. And that's how I feel about it. So if you pass the first one, you've got a signature line for me and I'll sign that one. But I'm not going to tell somebody that you got to listen to everybody and you got to do that. Okay? So I don't want to do that. I'm concerned about everybody's safety. But like I said before, and I don't want to repeat from last Tuesday, but I think it's important. We're already dealing with and saving lives and protecting families now without those House bills that are coming up, especially 1177. We work with families, we work with friends, we work with neighbors and relatives, and it's working. Okay? It is working. It's because of the information and the trust that our citizens in this county have actually instilled in me and your sheriff's office, that you're helping us head off so much. Even our kids in our schools are doing fantastic in heading off problems. And so, I tell you what, my hat is off to everybody. I appreciate all of you, and I'm thankful that I'm here to serve. And I appreciate that opportunity. Thanks.
Is there anybody else that wishes to come before on this public comment? All in, all done? I think I'd prefer you read the names of the letters that have been sent to you.
So these are the names of the emails that I have received in my office. I'm not going to say whether they're in support or whatever. It's just been presented to me to keep with the official records. I have Mary Ann Mate, Janet Hugh, Thomas Bernison, Judy Schoenemeyer, Ryan Spittler, Lydia DeHaven, Sorry, I'm just as nervous as you guys are. Mark Drudge. Casey Hammerschlag. This is her second one. Betsy Krill. Della Pope. Lorraine Gray. Leah Sand. I actually have two from Leah as well. And Carolyn Landis. This is her second one as also. I have a couple more on my emails that I'm not able to open up this evening. I don't know what the names are, but they will be included in the official record.
Thank you, Clerk.
Will they be read by the commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioners for you guys to read?
Yes. What I did with all of these is I have scanned these and I've sent them to the commissioners individually, so they have these to be able to look at.
Great, thank you.
We also drafted. We also drafted a letter. I don't know if we can show it, but I can read it, and you all can change it if you want. But we tried to, I think, incorporate everybody's concerns about mental health, because that was the initial impetus, I think, behind at least what the stated purpose of HB 1177 was. So I'm gonna read it as well. So whatever resolution you adopt, if you adopt one, if you want to add this letter to it, this is what we drafted. Dear Honorable Assemblymen and Assemblywomen, please find and close Montezuma County's resolution opposing enactment of legislation that infringes upon the people's constitutional rights, including the right to keep and bear arms, the right to due process and protection from unlawful search and seizure, and all other infringements upon the United States Constitution. It is the opinion of the undersigned elected officers of Montezuma County that the state's legislature could better serve the people by committing resources to improve mental health treatment and treatment of substance use disorders, rather than spending resources eroding the Constitution. Montezuma County recognizes the legitimate need to help those struggling with issues pertaining to mental health. In an article in the Journal dated January 29, 2019, the state looks to expand opioid treatment centers, but not in Southwest Colorado. It is recorded that Montezuma County has one of the highest overdose death rates. The county's elected officials urge the Assembly to spend resources to aid the mental health and substance use crisis rather than compromise the rights of law-abiding citizens. Thank you for taking into consideration the concerns of the citizens of Montezuma County. We look forward to seeking productive solutions together.
Commissioners, do you have any discussion? Go ahead. I'll let you go first.
Well, I guess all this boils down to something about law and the Constitution. I did take an oath to uphold the Constitution, and I take that very serious. And this all boils down to this to me. It says that you are innocent until proven guilty, and this law says you are guilty until proven innocent. And I cannot get that out of my head. And so when you have a law that in my opinion, is breaking the Constitution, I don't believe that that is a law that should be followed. I know we've had a discrepancy about the word sanctuary. I've got an idea. First of all, I would like to explain resolutions and ordinances in a very simple manner. A resolution is something that the county commissioners can, I'll give you an example. Say that Road S, the county commissioners would like to change that to Milky Way. We can go through that vote, we take the sign down, we put Milky Way. We did not create a law. We just changed the sign and made a statement. You could take that same road that is 40 miles an hour, and under an ordinance, you can take that same road that is 40 miles an hour and you could reduce it to 25. And if you drive 30 miles an hour, then the sheriff can give you a ticket. That is a law. So I am proposing that we use, because we have been talking about this red flag bill, but I'm proposing that we do the resolution that says declaration that Montezuma County is a sanctuary county for the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. And then I'm proposing that 30 days later that we create an ordinance, which is a law, that says in Montezuma County is a sanctuary county for the Constitution of the state of Colorado and the United States.
Well, I have a couple things here. First of all, this is just an assertion, like Commissioner Sukla said. This is not, we're not breaking any laws and we're not making any laws with this resolution. I also believe that I heard tonight that people want us to slow down. Well, I don't believe that we can slow down anymore. We're continually being overrun by what the legislation is doing, and we're not being heard at all. So every time we slow down, we're being ran over, and I don't like that. I sat in here last Tuesday, and these gentlemen beside me have been dealing with the BLM issue for 6 years, 6.5 years, with absolutely no movement. So slowing things down sometimes is not the best. We slowed this down. We could have made a decision on Tuesday. We chose to do a public comment session again on a Thursday evening where everybody could attend. And I think it was a good idea. I do think we slowed it down, and I think we slowed it down enough, but we have to make a decision now. Our rights are continually being eroded. And I took an oath of office also, and I will uphold my oath of office. And I believe in it 100%. Nothing is being addressed in 19-1177 about mental health at all. And that's really what this, what we should be looked at as our letter that we're going to attach to this states. Mental health is really the issue, not guns. So I do not want to put our peace officers, our sheriff in harm's way, absolutely ever at all. I think they're already in harm's way at what they do every day. So I tried to move resolution 1 forward on Tuesday, and I was unsuccessful, but I am okay with resolution number 3 tonight. Resolution number 3 would be the declaration that Montezuma County is a sanctuary county for constitutional rights. Therefore, they're not just looking at the 2nd, the 4th, the 6th. We're saying that we're going to abide by all of our rights, and that we're not going to let them be eroded any longer, and that we're sending our message to our legislatures in Denver to say, listen to us, and do not take anything else away from us, because we do have our rights and our freedoms, and I've heard everybody, but at the end of the day, I do, and I will uphold what I swore to uphold as my oath of office.
I agree with a lot of what's been said here tonight, especially when it deals with people in crisis and people in mental health situations where there's a question about someone's stability of mind. And it took me back to a medieval castle that I was very lucky to visit here just about a year or so ago. And as we were going through the castle, they took me to the torture chamber. And they were going through all of the different racks and cutting devices and things that they did in this torture chamber. And I asked the guy, I said, what got you in the torture chamber? And he said, well, back in the day when many people had mental disorders or mental problems, they were declared witches. They didn't know what mental illness was back then. They thought they were possessed or had spirits, or they were possessed. So they would somebody would accuse a person of being a witch, and they would bring them to the torture chamber, and they would put them on all of their equipment and their things that they did to them, and torture them until they admitted that they were a witch, and then they killed them. And it seems to me there's a bit of a correlation between what we're trying to make mental illness into and what their attitudes towards how you deal with it are similar back there. We're trying to tie an issue about suicide and gun violence to a mental health problem that some people experience, whether it's maybe a temporary anger insanity. You might be insane with anger, but we're trying to tie a constitutional right of every person in this country to a mental illness issue and somehow make that fit to where we can now go in and change our Constitution because we're afraid that people in mental crisis are going to do something violent or something with a weapon. And to me, it's a circling around, a circumventing of what the real issue, what I think the real motives behind some of these laws and bills that are coming about are. There's a tremendous movement in this country that a disarmed nation is a nation that's very, very easily controlled. If you have nobody that can do anything to prevent a militia and the militia of our own country being turned against its own citizens, if you're an unarmed citizenry, you have nothing much you can do to protect your rights. So I'm of the mind of I like all three of these proposals, and I think Commissioner Sukla has struck on a kind of nice idea that this week we send one of them, the one we picked as our favorite possibly, and in another week or 10 days we send another one, and then maybe in another week or 10 days we send the third one. And maybe if we keep reiterating to our government in the state capitol in Denver, if sometimes the squeaky wheel gets some grease. If you keep putting the finger in their eye, maybe they will listen to some of it. But I can support any of the three of these documents because it's not a law yet. We're not breaking the law. We're not asking to break the law. It's not been passed by our legislature. It's still a bill in progress. It's probably going to be amended like crazy. There's probably going to be all kinds of deal making up there at the Capitol about what I'll give you if you'll give me this, I'll give you that. And we don't know what it ultimately will be like, but from what we've seen with what's in print now, I don't have any use for it all. So I will entertain a motion. If the commissioners have no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Well, I move that we approve resolution number 4-2019, which states that a declaration that Montezuma County is a sanctuary county for the constitutional right to keep and bear arms.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution -24-2019, declaration that Montezuma County is a sanctuary county for constitutional rights. Oh wait, you had me the wrong one. Yes, excuse me, I'm sorry. You want the one to bear arms, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I'm sorry, I read the wrong draft resolution. It's opposition to the... One moment, please. We have some confusion. Would you restate the motion, Commissioner Supla?
Move to approve the declaration that Montezuma County is a sanctuary county for the constitutional right to keep and bear arms.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 4-2019 by the Board of Montezuma County Commissioners, opposition to the infringement upon the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. All in favor? Aye.
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 Why don't they sound right?
A redo, I'm sorry. I keep getting I'm like at the Oscars, they keep giving me the wrong dadgum envelope. I'm going to have to do this 3 or 4 times.
Now we're at a blue dress.
I don't know what the number is, but I know what it's saying.
They all have the same number.
Okay, Commissioner Supla has moved for the approval of Resolution 4-2019 stating, declaration that Montezuma County is a sanctuary county for the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution number 4-2019, declaration that the Montezuma County is a sanctuary county for the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I will give you a heads up. I've been in contact with multiple commissioners throughout the state, and there's more of these coming.
Good, good.
I want to thank everybody that came tonight. I especially want to thank the people that had the courage to walk up to this microphone and state what they believed and how they felt about the business of the affairs of the county and the business of the state of affairs in Colorado. So we appreciate you coming. And that gentleman was right. This is us practicing freedom of assembly and freedom of speech tonight. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Filled with moments. Moments we share with those we love, worry about, and strive to protect the most. At Woodman Life, we provide insurance and retirement products to help protect you and your family so that you can enjoy all the moments to come.
More dirt.